All right, welcome to the Celtics postgame live. Tom Giles, Eddie House. Scal's going to join us in just a bit. Here's the Celtics fall to the Miami Heat. 120-116, your final score in overtime. Celtics now 0-3 in overtimes this season, Eddie, and it was a game in which the Celtics actually held a 13-point lead at one point. You saw the Heat go on that crazy 13-0 run in the fourth quarter, and then you had the theatrics with the Jaylen Brown three tying it up, but ultimately just coming up short here in overtime.
Yeah, and it's tough to beat a good team twice. So, you look at Miami's record and you wouldn't put them in the same category by record-wise as what the Celtics have been doing this year. But at the same time, we understand how well that organization is ran, how it takes certain players to even be a part of that organization to play for that team. And so, they're going to scratch, they're going to claw, they're going to play hard, they're going to be physical, they're going to muck up the game. And so when you look at what happened, it's hard to beat a team like that twice, right? And so Miami came and did their job. They got the split. If this was a playoff, they'll be going home back to Miami feeling like, hey, we did what we supposed to do with us 1-1.
And you think about it, too. On Wednesday night, they go out there, they play pretty well in that loss to the Celtics without Jimmy Butler, and clearly Jimmy Butler was the difference here tonight. I mean, how many times did he hit a huge bucket for them in the final minute, both in regulation and then seeing him in overtime as well?
Every big bucket they needed, he hit it, or he made a play, or he was defending somebody and contesting the shot, making it tough for them to knock down shots. Jimmy Butler definitely is the X factor for the Miami Heat. We all know that. That's their team's superstar, and the team revolves around him. But I look at what the Celtics did tonight, and basically, they had 26 assists, right? And we always talk about the 25 mark, and they constantly win games when they have 25 or more assists. Well, you can't have 20 turnovers with that.
Yep.
And that right there, I feel like was Achilles' heel tonight. It almost was like we were in a time machine and we went back to looking at last year's basketball team during the playoffs and during that run where they were turning the ball over at a high rate.
How much of the turnovers were the Celtics just not taking care of the basketball, and how much of it was also Miami, who seemed to play a lot more man defense tonight, kind of ramping up the pressure a little bit? And we didn't really see that much physical play on Wednesday, but it felt like you saw much more of that tonight. How much of it was Miami, or was it the Celtics' own doing?
I don't think that they played like they were physical. It wasn't like they were hounding the ball handler and making it tough for him. I think we just fell asleep to where offensively we were playing against a shell defense. And it's hard to find gaps. It's hard to drive when you try to go against a shell defense. And Miami basically all night, when they weren't in that zone defense, they were basically in a shell defense where guys were just standing there watching, and when a drive happened, I was able to be pesky, get my hands in the way. I was in those driving lanes and just made it tough all night. I don't think that we adapted or we made any changes. They're late a couple times. We made some changes to where we move the ball and move our bodies. That's when we're going to be successful against a Miami Heat team. You can't allow them to just constantly load up on you defensively. They're too good. They're too disciplined defensively for you to allow that.
Jaylen Brown, meanwhile, did have a season-high 37 points in this one. He also had 14 rebounds, and it's Scal's off camera here. He's trying to help us. You want to jump in? You can jump in. All right. Jaylen Brown, 37 points, 14 rebounds. What did you think of his performance tonight, especially the three-pointer that sent this thing to overtime?
Well, I thought he played really well, understanding that Jason didn't have it going tonight and he had to pick up the slack. He had to take over. A lot of the times he had opportunities where, and that shot right there was just amazing. I thought the game was pretty much done right there, but, it's never over till it's over, and Jaylen Brown came up with a big-time shot and on their best defender. But the one thing that I look at, I look at the Miami Heat have 4 different players with 20-plus points. That cannot be allowed. I mean, when you look at the guys, if you look at their roster, look at our roster, I feel like we're a better team. I know we're a better team. But when you turn the ball over and you allow 4 different guys to get 20 points, it's going to be hard to beat anybody in this league.
I think we're going to bring your mic up. Scal's joining us here on set now as, again, Celtics losing 120-116.
Did you talk about the 5-out?
I hit on it a little bit.
All right, so I've been saying this all year, right? And it's been shocking to me. Because historically, when you look at teams that run 5-out, they don't score at the clip that we're scoring. We're scoring at a historic rate. We run 5-out. But I think today was the first time it bit us. But listen, it just felt like
when you say 5-out,
5 players all on the perimeter.
Okay.
You want to because guys are so athletic and they can cover space. Think about it. If 5 guys are on the perimeter, guys can cover space. If 4 guys are out, you have 1 guy underneath. That guy who can get a layup is a threat. So for whatever reason, like for everything I know about basketball, typically you can't be successful night in and night out for 48 minutes with 5 out. We have been, and we're at a historic rate. It just felt like tonight, maybe because of Miami, I felt like it got back to us. But as soon as you mentioned that, Joe Mazzulla mentioned it too, because he put Grant Williams in, and he started going dunker to dunker, which is basically underneath the basket. So
short corner.
Yeah, I mean, right when they did that, I felt like our offense opened up, but the floodgates were already kind of open.
The turnovers, we were talking about that, Scal, before you got on here, but the 20 turnovers for the Celtics, we saw them also turn the ball over 17 times the other night. And in both games, they seem to kind of tighten up in the fourth quarter at least, and that's what got them back in this game tonight. It's also what kind of separated them on Wednesday. But the turnovers,
I think it's just
certainly,
Miami.
But what about Miami is causing that?
They have a unique ability to make you play how they want you to play.
Correct.
And you don't play your game. Like if the Celtics came into this game and said, I don't care what they throw at us, if it's a zone, we're going to play this way. We're going to play this way with pace. And I swear, it seems like whoever Miami plays never does that. It seems like whatever they do, they're able to muck it up. They confuse you. They run a zone. Then they go man. Then they'll blitz you. Then they'll run a drop. They give you so many different looks. Yeah. And to me, that goes to just great coaching and understanding, like, okay, we're not great defensively individually, but as a team, we could be great defenders.
When I got to the Nets, I played with Jason Kidd, and he knows this, right? Put your arm out. Can you guys see us? Jason Kidd would put his arm right here, right? And then he would run it down your arm and knock the ball out. And it never looked like a foul. He did it all year, and he would do that. Miami is the same way. They're just on you. And then when you go to gather, they're on your other arm. So they're just a physical team. And they play like a team on a mission today after getting beat. They play like a team that gave up 49 to Jason Tatum, and they're like, we ain't doing that today.
And you know what? We were talking about this is that Miami's a team that's going to grab. They're going to push. So you can't call it every single time, right? And I think at times what they also do is they have teams that fall in like, man, he's holding me. Where you have to expect that when you play a Miami Heat team. You have to expect to get grabbed. You got to expect to get fouled. You got to expect for the ball to get, and sometimes the ref's going to miss that call. So you have to play through it, and it could build up some frustration, and it could build up complacency on the offensive end to where guys just stand around, and it takes them out their game. Again, they have a unique ability to force you to play the way they want you to play and take you out of your game.
So Tatum the other night with the 49 points, as you mentioned, Scout. Tonight, just the 14 points. That's a season low for him. He did have the 12 rebounds, and he was continuing to attack there in overtime. Was it just an off night for him?
Nah, I look at to me it was the heat, the spacing. You know, it was like they were ready for it. I think coming in and night out, 82 games, different opponent every night. It's hard to prepare yourself for what you're about to face with the Celtics. But you saw that these guys were ready. This is a 2-game series. They were ready game 2. Every team doesn't have the talent to do that. They do. Every team doesn't have the coaching to do that. They do. And every team doesn't have the culture to do that. They do. So Miami, no matter what, when they make it to the playoffs, they're going to be a problem for anybody. You can look at Milwaukee, Cleveland, us, Philly, they're going to be a problem for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they're 11-12 on the season. Yeah, I know you talked about it at the end of the broadcast, and Eddie, you talked about it already. This team's better than their record indicates, right?
No question.
You know, the team that we saw the other night when we thought that they played well and lost by 13, they did play well without their best player, who stepped up once again with Jimmy Butler to hit those clutch shots down the stretch.
I will say this. I don't feel like they played better than they played the last game. I feel we played the same way. We just didn't have a Jason Tatum
performance,
heroic effort, you know, and I think that's really what it came down to. Miami played the same way. They grinded it out. Did they have Jimmy Butler make difference? Yes, he made a difference. And I also think that Jason Tatum had 49. You don't think that they went back to the hotel and then Jimmy Butler was like, I'm on the first thing smoking to come out there to come say today. I mean, for real though, you know, I'm dead serious. So like, they have pride. Those are a professional team, and they understand this is going to be a team that you possibly see in the playoffs.
Do you know what that means? I'm on the first thing smoking.
I would guess the first plane, Scal. Okay, here we go. Well, come on, you gotta let me know.
What's wrong with it? It's late. He ain't had his food. He hungry. Look at him.
He's coming after me. He's coming after me. Did I get it? Did I get it right?
You got it right.
Okay. I mean, it seems so.
Amina, I wouldn't even ask Amina. She knows.
She knew what that was.
I think I just lost audio because of that high five there. But
you all right.
You are.
right.
We hear you in the
You're
thing.
good. You're
okay.
good.
All right. Well. Anyways, the Celtics losing this one 120 to 116 in overtime. So, is there something about overtime games, or is it just you played 3 grinding games, 2 against Cleveland and 1 against Miami here, where you're just on the losing end of overtime games?
I don't know. What do you think? That's what Eddie gets paid the big bucks for. I'm a guest here. Don't ask me the hard questions.
You go ahead and go first.
I don't know. Miami played. I don't know. Miami played better. Cleveland played better down the stretch. Overtime games could go either way. You're asking me to decipher like a possession here, possession there. Jimmy Butler, all I know is he was and then he played tough in the 4th in overtime.
I would say this. It shouldn't even went to overtime. We was up, I think, 12 or something
13.
like that. And we had 13. We had an opportunity to kind of close it out. And it's that 2-minute stretch there where you don't. You kind of take your foot off the gas. And a team like Miami, before you know it, Tyler Hero went 8 points. 3-3 layup.
Yeah,
and it was off of turnovers as well.
13-0 run just to eat that lead up just like that.
All right, so once again, Celtics fall 120 to 116. Jaylen Brown, your thoughts on Jaylen tonight in the performance?
Chart.
Yes.
Off the chart.
37 points, 14 rebounds, and it wasn't just that 3 that he had to force the game into overtime, but it was just continuous throughout.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the whole situation where, like, there's not always lanes available. He was making lanes available. He was great today.
Yeah, and again, had that clutch 3 that forced overtime. What did you think of the shot on that one for Jaylen?
What do we say,
The
Tom?
overtime?
Yeah.
Oh, man, what you mean? It's either go in or you go home.
Yeah.
Like, you got to take that. You got to take that shot. I mean, I think he was big time. I think he understood that Jason didn't have it, so he went to work.